Welcome to Mic-Minded People, the podcast with me, Phil Fokus. I'm a drum and bass artist with over 25 years of experience in the world of underground music. But more importantly, I'm a huge fan of MCs. That's my passion. And in this podcast, I explore it from all angles: the culture, the craft, the conversation. So if you love MCs or you're curious and want to find out more, then this is the podcast for you. Shout to my Mic-Minded People locked in. I'm back with another episode. And it's about time that I had a guest episode out there. And I've not got any old guest. I've got my old mucker, Mark System. So Mark is someone that I've known for a long time, probably getting on for 20 years. He's a very well-established music producer and DJ, best known for his work within the drum and bass scene. But he's far from a one-trick pony and he dabbles in other genres as well. But in my heart and in my soul and in my head, he will always be MC System. So today's guest is MC System. Now, Mark, when I think about us first connecting, I am taken back to the early 2000s and I'm driving down from Hitchin to Enfield in a mashed up old car that probably cost less than 500 quid, possibly an Astra, can't remember. But I'm meeting you in the car park outside Eros nightclub, and I'm getting into your car and you're possibly sitting there rolling a cigarette, or we're smoking a cigarette, and we're talking, man. We're talking about drum and bass in London. So that's where my mind instantly goes back to. What about you? When I kind of take you back to that era, what are your thoughts about that? Do you remember that, or what's your go-to thoughts around this timeline that I'm presenting to you?
I remember you running out of petrol somewhere and me coming to meet you when we first met, because I listened to your Origin Story podcast and you talked about how I heard you on Pirate Radio. I was with our mate Luke Sifter, shout out to Luke, and we were listening. We were like, this geezer's good, and so we needed MCs at Traffic at the time, and you know, so I can't remember the exact details about how we connected, but I do remember around that time, I thought that was the first time we met, that you were on the A10, the road that joins North London and Hertfordshire. In fact, A10 goes all the way into central London there, but you run out of petrol and we had to come and get you. Was that for a gig?
Yeah, mate, you're spot on. I do 100%. I had a red Citroen AX that cost me 300 quid. And it was the bit as you're coming past, what was it? Not begins with B. Anyway, like it's on the fringe of Enfield.
Yeah.
It's on the fringe of Enfield on the A10. I don't know if I ran out of petrol. Like, I'm not sure. It could be that. I think the car just broke. I'd rather think anyway that the car just broke down.
Yeah, maybe it was.
And yeah, you and Luke came and rescued me. And I'm pretty sure that I was meeting you to come to tag along basically and come to a gig which I would probably say with 95% certainty would have been in East London, in and around Shoreditch and Dalston, because that was a hot spot. But yeah, no, you're totally spot on, man. That was the era. And you talk about the origin story, but it's you know, the station that we're referring to, the pirate station, was actually Origin FM, so it quite literally is an origin story. And yeah, that's how we connected, and I'll never forget that. And obviously we're here to talk about you, but we're talking about us at the moment. I don't want to make it about me, but you in that episode and various episodes and just various conversations I've had with people, you know, I've said this to so many other people that I just want to take a quick minute to say it to you face to face, is that, you know, that era there, you played such a massive role in helping me get my first kind of footing into the world of London drum and bass. Before I met you, it was like, you know, the thought of MCing in London was a bit of it felt like a long way away for me. And you were very instrumental. You really welcomed me into your world, and you did what a lot of artists tend not to do, which was like hooked me up with your people, and you helped me get some bookings. And I say this in a lyric, which I won't recite, but you know, you helped me get my first proper gig in London, and then you took me out to Germany with you, and that was with Nookie. Shout to Gav. I tagged along to Germany with you, to Aachen, and you let me go back to back with you on the mic. So you really went out of your way to bring me into the fold, and I'll never forget that.
Cheers, Phil. Yeah, shout out to the Arkham crew, man. We did that a lot, actually, didn't we? In the end, it was good memories, man. Yeah,
You give the listeners just a little quick flavour about what Arkham was all about, because they were fucking good times. Tell the people in a nutshell what Arkham was about.
Amazing drum and bass, international guests with locals in a Second World War bunker, underground, 12-foot thick walls. Actually, shout Loxy Ink. It was Ink that brought me in. Everyone, you know what I mean? Look, everyone brings someone, and like, you got to bring people you believe in. And if you don't believe in it, but there's plenty of people that I haven't probably would say the opposite to you, Phil, you know? So it's because you're good. And hopefully people brought me through because they like what I do. But I say this to people a lot that, sorry, I've gone off subject. You know, I've learned that our scene, and I imagine any scene really is like this, but you have to get vouched for. And that just immediately, as soon as you vouch for, people take notice. He said that he's cool, so he's cool, you know. Before that, it's really difficult. So I've been reliant on people doing the same for me, trusting me and giving me a chance. And so it's no, and I continue to do it. If I believe in someone, then it's really no skin off my nose, you know. Actually, what you did, and this is a more personal thing, but I think we can all learn from this, and it's enriched my life. Through what you've just spoken about, and us kind of getting involved in the drum and bass scene together, we became close friends, and we introduced each other to our friends as well. And around that time, we were like, wow, whatever age we were like, I can't believe we've got this like brand new, big new friend group of mates, and we're all hanging out and like exploring each other's lives and sharing, and we had a lot of good times outside of drum and bass together, and that was all through that initial connection that we had. So it's what is it? I mean, there's a big group of us, man. I met a lot of people through you.
Yeah, man, absolutely, and that's it, bruv. Like we're personal friends. We're not just music mates. There's nothing wrong with having music mates and associates, of course, but you know we're friends on a deeper level than that. So yeah, we talked a bit about Music Bunker. Like you said, it was a mad venue. It was literally like a bunker from the World War II, I think. You know, mental.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about this era when we first connected. What other venues come to mind when you think about that era of drum and bass? We're talking about the early 2000s. What other places have a special place in your heart?
Herbal, straight up Herbal, man. Cut my teeth there, club-wise. You know, I've been emceeing in clubs for quite a long time by that point, but Herbal was like, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. It was, you can always hear drum and bass in there. It was crazy. And I emceed there a lot, hell of a lot. Damaged my left ear in there from doing the therapy sessions. Nice. Because I was standing, the monitor, the DJ monitor was to my left, generally from where I was standing. And my left ear's never recovered. Traffic at Ribbon Factory, of course. I'm just going to say all the obvious names, but Herbal's just the one that jumps out immediately when I think about that. For me personally,
they're obvious to you and to me maybe, but they're not going to be obvious to all the listeners. So I think let's break it down. You know, I think absolutely Herbal, because the sad thing is, I don't know, the list will probably keep growing, right? But a lot of these venues don't exist anymore. So that bit of Shoreditch, Dalston, going into East London, like Aldgate, was like a real hub, wasn't it? So was. Herbal, what nights were at Herbal? I know you said like you could pretty much go there from Wednesday through to Sunday, but break it down a bit, like what events, what promoters, who was playing there?
Various people came in and out, and there were also one-off nights as well. So I can never list them all, but the obvious ones were like Metalheads did something there for a while. You had Technicality, doing their kind of choppage stuff, and then therapy sessions, obviously. Wasn't Groove Rider doing his thing there as well?
Yeah, Rider did a thing there on a Sunday called Grace.
Grace, that's it. Oh,
Grace.
God. There was a Tuesday thing I was doing. I've just remembered. Herbal,
Mad.
man. Herbal really like did so much for drum, and I know that people probably didn't like the venue and probably got a bit sick of it, but not me. And I met so many people there, man. Like it was a real. It was so important for me, to me in my eyes, drum and bass around that time. But you said mention other venues, and I just think they're the cliched ones that everyone says. The end. You know, like Fabric. I mean, London's had has got such a rich history with drum and bass, um, and I don't have the capacity, the memory to list them all off. I'm not very good with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Turn Mills was another one. We definitely went there a few times together.
Mills. That's what I mean.
You were
How,
emceeing there, bruv. You were
how dare me forget Turn Mills?
you were emceeing everywhere. Like let's not get it twisted. Like you were busy. You were on,
Yeah.
and what was cool about it was that, you know, because I was kind of tagging along, almost like your wingman. I wasn't really getting on the mic at these places, but me and Luke would come with you, and we'd be there going out on the road for the night, having fun. But yeah, you might be doing, I don't know, man. You might be doing. Yeah,
Plastic. Sorry, I
flipping
talked over you, man. But I was like, I
No,
can't
no.
go if I don't say it. But plastic.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Wow.
Boom. There you go. Another
Wow.
one.
Plastic.
And you might be at one of these venues with like Nookie doing a deeper, jazzier vibe or whatever it might have been, soulful vibe, call it what you will. And then you could be at Renegade Hardware at the end for Clayton, like the next weekend. And it's like two ends of the spectrum. But yeah, you were everywhere. So what would you say was your main, because we talked about my kind of bring in to the London scene, but what was your first foray into the world of drum and bass as a young, hungry MC?
That's a good question. It's a question, something I haven't really thought about, because actually it all kind of, my story doesn't feel as clear cut as yours when it comes to getting involved in the scene, in on the club circuit, because I mean, I come from radio, and someone heard me on the radio. Actually, I'm just realizing the synergy now. Someone heard me on the radio with a guy that I used to do radio with, DJ Fokus, and we went and did an audition in Tottenham to go and play for these guys, and that was crazy. Like we did, I mean, I've never done one before or since, but he was there. The guy was there with a clipboard and like making notes, and anyway,
Sounds like X Factor.
yeah, but he was well ahead. And Simon Cowell hadn't even thought of this. Yeah, so we had this audition in Tottenham. It's quite nerve-wracking, actually. It was like 20 minutes as well. I don't know how, like, Focus, your DJs, he's a big inspiration for me, and he DJ'd the way that I kind of play now, and kind of drawn out, so he probably got to play about 2 or 3 tracks. But anyway, this guy knew us from the radio, and it turned out it was Future Thinking, who I then had a long standing relationship with. You know, became part of the team, and then we went on to do some amazing things together. But it all started with this, with being heard on the radio, doing an audition, and I can't remember what the first gig we did was. Small venue somewhere. Yeah, I'm sorry, can't remember. But we ended up going on to do Scala, and like Future Thinking started doing some really big venues. What was the one in? I don't know.
I know. I think I know the one you're thinking about. Of like telepathically, maybe is it the Colosseum? Are you thinking of that?
That's what I wanted to go on to. I mean, Colosseum was years later, and by that time I was part of the promotion team. But I was like, we were running the events together. It was, 5 or 6 of us that were putting these parties on. By that point, man, they were mad times. Like filling that place up, crazy. And I actually, a bit like you, through promoting, that was how I started meeting DJs, and I was working with them. I was a promoter and an MC, and part of Future Thinking and Traffic and events that we were all doing. I think the ones that I was MCing for when I was just an MC, before I was part of the promotion team, was Futurism at Scala. There's got to be those lineups are crazy. Well, I had the opportunity to work with DJs, and then DJs then asked me to work with them in different places. So it goes back to what I said earlier on. There's always people. You need those people to put their arm around you and say, "I'm going to vouch for you. Come with me." Because without that, it doesn't work. And there is, I think, the scene will always have that. Drum and bass has got that community feel that, like, people are nurtured, and it's just so important. So important, man.
Who were some of the people that nurtured you, that put their arm around you, as you just said?
As an MC, Nookie obviously did a lot of work with Nookie. Dylan massively. I mean, I come from radio with him, did radio shows, and then he brought me into therapy sessions, did a lot of stuff with him. I'm going to forget people, which is awful, because there'll be people like, hang on, what? I did so much for you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, you did. Tons of people, loads of people have, Ben Insiders for Intrigue, I was a resident there. You know, I could tell you the whole story about how I met them. Joe and Ben, I used to work in a music shop in the West End, and they came in, and they just started Intrigue in Bristol. A friend of mine that works in the shop as well said that there's these kids keep coming in, and they've set a night up in Bristol. You need to talk to them. One day I got a phone call, because I worked in a different part of the shop, and he said, "Well, they're in, come see them." And I came and saw them, and I was like, when are you gonna book me then? And they were like, "Well, we kind of we want MCs." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'll drive up the M4 and just give me 50 quid or whatever, and we'll try it out. And if it works, it works." So, but anyway, Ben Insiders, man, like, no doubt, the guy, he gave me a shot. He didn't know me at all, and I was just like, look, I know the music, I know that I fit with what you're doing, and just trust me. And if you don't like it, then, you know what I mean, we'll just call it quits. And then I was a resident for years and years and years, and
long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, man, and he's still going now. You know, I'm sure you know this, obviously, but what is it like? It's at least 23 years in.
It's crazy. It's like that staying power it's not easy. Like, there's not. I mean, people come and go. There's so many people that have contributed to our music that have dipped in and done an amazing job, and then they're gone. And the ones that actually manage to stay, I don't know how they do it. I mean, I say that he's doing the same thing. You know, I'm still here, but I've tried my hand at everything.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, he's kind of stuck to the original ethos, representing that, you know, the sort of deeper side of D&B.
Yeah, he's really stuck to his
twists and turns along the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, as such is life, to keep tweaking things as you go. But yeah, big respect to Ben, and of course, some legendary nights for me and you, and you know, our collective of friends. A lot of fun times was had at the Dojo Lounge in Bristol. Yeah, all sorts of shenanigans that we got up to. Bristol, that was a real spot for us, wasn't it? And again, you brought me in, and I became a resident as well. So it's another example. And we went back to back down there. You know, we had a lot of fun. Storm, Marcus Intellects, Fabio. You know, some real caliber.
Yeah.
You know, the list goes on, right? But yeah,
D-Bridge.
some really good time. D-Bridge, come on.
Yeah.
Some good times.
Good times.
Radio. You talked about radio. I associate you with radio, and I know we're both we're passionate about radio, and, you know, let's have it right, pirate radio. What station were you on?
Rude FM. Yeah. Actually,
I knew that. I just wanted you to say it for the listeners' benefit. Obviously, I know that. I had the tapes.
I still see people online, actually. This is interesting. I still people online saying, "What's happened to MC System?" And then someone will be like, "Oh, that's Mark," or, and you know, that other way around. But like, is Mark is that System guy? Is that MC System? And it's Rude FM, man. Shout out to Rude FM. Really important.
Yeah, for sure. Rude FM 882, right?
882 and 104.3 before that. Before the split. Originally, Rude FM was 104.3, and then there was a split, Rude and Rude Awakening. Rude FM changed to 88.2. Rude Awakening became Rude Awakening on 104.3.
Yeah.
As far as I know, people might be able to correct me on that. My memory's very foggy on that. But yeah, Rude was originally 104.3.
So what because when I hear when I listen to, I'm obviously a fan of all these stations. At Rude Awakening to me is essentially Chillum, X-Man, and Herbsy. Of course,
Yeah.
there was, I'm not disrespecting. There's loads of, but there's Blacker. There was all sorts of other wicked MCs on there, but it was Chillum, X-Man, and Herbsy were the guys on that. So were they on Rude FM
Yeah.
when you were on
Yeah.
Rude? What other MCs were knocking about on the station?
Well, that's a really good question. And another one you're going to catch me out on. I mean, Too Shy. Too Shy is the one I remember clearly. But I used to listen to Rude the years before I got in there, and the MCs were a huge inspiration for me, man. And they're not talked about anymore. Like Pedro, Speedy, Automatic. Oh my God, I love that guy,
Wow.
man. Yeah. You can listen to stuff online. There's like recordings of
Mate,
these
you're
old
schooling
guys
me
on
out
the
now because I like to think I'm a bit of an aficionado, but I'll be honest. I've heard you talk about Pedro. I've not heard the other two.
Yeah, Speedy and Automatic and who else, man? So many. Yeah, Roots history. The 104.3 days like go all through like the from hardcore to jungle, and then it actually was quite around those days in sort of 93 to 95. It was quite MC led, like quite MC forward, and all these MCs had their own character. I loved it, man. Recorded so many tapes. Loved it. Such an inspiration. B Live, Evil B, who I went.
Yeah,
We
of
went to the
course.
same school. He's a year older than me, but we all had friends in common. So we did a few mixtapes together with me back to back with Evil B. I'm talking like before radio, like 94, 95.
What?
And we used to go raving together, World Dance and God knows whatever else. So yeah, but my background is like come from a similar, we live around the corner from each other. Yeah, we're obviously gone off on completely different directions now. My God, like what he's done. Wow. I follow him on Instagram. He's smashing it. And he's still one of my favourite MCs ever. Yeah, but and he smashed it on Rude. He was amazing.
That voice he's got, it's one of those just iconic voices, and obviously it translated into garage as B Live and into grime as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I just had a memory come into my head of sitting around your house and you playing me a B Live track on your computer. I think it was called Merkers, and there's a bar in it where he talks about do you know the one I'm going to say? So something about I'm not quoting this word for word. He says something about don't call me Turkish, I'm Murkish.
I don't remember that one. I remember others.
It's something like that. It's sick.
I'll misquote it. Yeah, because like I mean, he's so versatile, man. And now he's writing top line hooks that are just like they're part of the scene. They're not just, they go beyond him. Like he's really put his stamp on the history of our music, and yeah, it's incredible, man. Salute to the guy.
Yeah, absolute G. All right, so you're on radio. You're surrounded by, that was a real exciting era. I can just imagine. You used to have a lyric or a saying, if it wasn't a lyric, about London sort of Rude FM beaming out across the metropolis, something like that. And that, I feel that really encapsulates that kind of tower block sort of era, if you want to call it that, where you're just looking out across the London cityscape. What was it that you loved about doing pirate radio?
That can't really be put down to one thing, because it was such an inspiration for me. I discovered acid house as like 8-year-old or something like that, listening to the radio, and like discovered underground electronic music from pirate radio. Oh, everything that my musical direction to pirate radio. It just can't be simplified. It can't be condensed into that, into one thing. And because also it became such a part of my life and my development, and the people I met and continued to inspire me musically, and relationships that I developed through radio, still continue to be important to me now. But also I can't deny the rebellion of it is like always appealed to me. Actually, one thing that I loved about our music growing up through it was that we don't have so much anymore. We don't have at all, in fact, was the anonymity. You know, white labels, and I wouldn't know who the hell who's made the music, and the radio was just completely aligned with that. It's like I don't know. I'm hearing these DJs and I know the names, but I don't know who the hell they are. And there's no way of me knowing who the hell they are. But that was important. I don't want to know who you are. I kind of want to know, but I don't. The anonymity of radio, the facelessness of it, I love that so much, man, and I miss it. I'm glad I experienced it.
Yeah,
But
you could have been standing next to like your favorite MC or DJ in the supermarket, and you would have no idea, right? Because it's not like you could just jump online and Google the MC's name or something like that. Yeah, kind of operating in the shadows. And I think something you said earlier that kind of resonates with that is, especially talking about MCs, each MC had their own personality and characteristics. They were a character, essentially, to a degree, but that was all through their voice, their tonality, their cadence, their style, their delivery. Because obviously, if you saw them in a rave, it would be different because they might have an image that kind of backs up that, you know, an aesthetic that goes with the sound. But really, when we're talking about radio, that whole personality and character of the MC was delivered through the ears.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's performative, isn't it? As well. It is. Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily. I mean, we know that from meeting our peers. It's often not the person that they're performing to be.
Yeah. Do you know what? Even though we've known each other for so long, I don't actually know, because just through this conversation, we're kind of peeling the layers back and sort of gradually going backwards. And we will jump forwards before the end of this conversation as well and bring it up to date. But what I don't really know is that obviously Rude FM was your first kind of main entrance into being on the mic regularly by the sounds of it. So how did you go from that 8-year-old that's listening to radio and hearing acid house and getting into the music? How did you go from that to actually being in the Rude FM studio MCing on a set?
Sorry for the long pause. You can edit that out.
Timestamp edit. Yeah. I'm definitely leaving this bit in.
Yeah, you should. Oh no. Right, now I'm just going to waffle even longer just to completely ruin it.
The floor is yours.
I was listening to Rude FM, particularly Rude, but you know, all any kind of jungle pirate that had MCs on it. And actually, I'd written rap music as a kid before that, but done a bad job of it. I'm just kind of unfolding this in a weird way. My dad was a semi-pro musician, so I always had access to music and an affinity to it and an interest in it. So I've always learned to play instruments young, and my dad was also a singer, so I think that kind of led me towards being comfortable with the mic as well. But I kind of mimicked like most MCs of like jungle drum bass MC done, kind of mimicked what I heard or was inspired by it. And friends of mine just started telling me that I should take it seriously. One friend in particular, Mark Taylor, he's not with us anymore. But he was the person who was like, you know what? Actually, we were driving from in a metro, a mini metro, back from a day in Southend, one like bank holiday, May bank holiday or something like that. And yeah, I was just freestyling badly, and he said, "You should take it seriously." Man, that was a mad. The guy that was driving fell asleep at the wheel on the way home. So but fortunately we were all right. But he kind of just, yeah,
just gave him a nudge.
Oh my God! No, I mean no. He woke up when we went into the central reservation.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was that saved us. Yeah, it's a mad one. Anyway, but that same trip, someone said to me I should take MCing seriously. So so I did, and actually that came, radio came through. I talked earlier on about Evil B, Fokus. Oh man, there were loads of us. Licks, Plex, Melody. These were all old friends of mine, and most of us ended up on the radio and gave demo tapes in. I did one with DJ Fokus. Actually, this was good for me. We handed a tape in, and they were like, "Well, Focus is good, but the system ain't cutting it. So I had to take that rejection, and that really made me take it even more seriously, man. I spent sort of 6 months working on it. He supported me. He was like, yeah, you got, you know what I mean? You need to step up. So I did. We sent another tape in, and they were like, yeah, you can come through now. So that was a proud moment for me. Actually, all I ever really wanted to do was be on radio as an MC. That was my inspiration, and that was my goal. I wasn't really that worried about, didn't see myself in clubs. It was the radio. So that was I felt a huge sense of achievement when I did that, and I really took that show so seriously, man. Always writing for it, and I loved it, man. So that's how I ended up on it, through demo tapes, through rejection, and then having to step up, and you know, like, I wasn't good enough, and I needed to be told I wasn't good enough, and then
you took the feedback.
Yeah.
And you went away and worked on your craft.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nice way of putting it.
And he came back stronger. You know, as far from I've always felt that you or seen you as quite a resilient person, and quite you know, you're dedicated to what you do. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't surprise me that I wouldn't expect the system that I know to just get some feedback like that of what's deemed to be a negative nature and just go, oh well, shit, that's that then. It's like, nah, come on.
You know, you get to a certain age, and like you think you know yourself, and I've actually in the last few years been learning a lot about myself, and something I've had to accept is I hate failure. I'm not good with failure, and so often I probably don't apply myself a lot, because, you know, I mean, it's talking about MCing, but, you know, and everyone knows I write a lot of music. I barely give it to anyone, let alone release it. And I've always put that down to perfectionism, but I think it's deep down, it's probably that it's more, I'm not prepared to fail.
I mean, wow, we could go off on a big segue here, but I'll ask you a question, which is quite a big question, even though it's only a couple of words, but what is failure?
I'm still working it out. It's complex.
Because I would say, well, it's not like I'm the bloody authority on this stuff, but I would say there is no failure.
Mm. Well, look, this is another thing that I always say. Look, I'd say, as you know me, my mindset's generally I'm pretty glass half full, and something I kind of live by is, you know, that I always land on my feet. But that's down to a positive mindset, and that kind of ties in with what you're saying. There is no failure, but this is why I say it's complex, because I'm now starting to see how fear of failure, it's not quite what it is, but avoidance of failure actually drives me. So it's generally positive. But that example of getting the demo tape being rejected is an example of me being fed by, being driven by that sense of rejection, and wanting to prove myself, and knowing that wasn't good enough, and that wasn't good enough for me. I'm like, no, man.
Yeah.
I want to be really good. Like,
do you know what though? That's important, right? Because I think, like, we don't have, by we, I just mean us people in general, you don't have the right to be sick at something just straight off the bat, do you? Like, what's wrong with, like, being told, bruv, if you want to get on our station, you need to step it up, mate? I was the same. My first demo tapes were absolute dog shit. I didn't deserve to be on the radio. But you keep, you know, like you say, you can make it fuel for the tank. I think there's sometimes a misconception that, you know, if you're naturally meant to be good at something, that you just do it and it's sick straight away. But I would say, yeah, who gives you the right to, like, just be sick at something? You know, let's sharpen the craft, man.
There's accepted and completely totally understood psychology with that, you know, there's a beginning of, we often feel like we're good at something, but then you learn more about it, and the whole thing kind of opens up. And I'm speaking out of turn here, it's not my subject, but you probably know more about this than me, actually.
No, not at all, man. You're a creative person. Like, this is what you do, like this. So you've got as much right to talk on this as anyone else. It's just interesting to hear people's thoughts.
we can as humans, psychologically, we can oversimplify something that we see. You know, like, so I look at a table and I think, give me a saw and some nails and whatever, and I can knock a table up and it will be as good as this one. And then you realize, oh no, then you start noticing the joins, and you notice it's been varnished, and you notice actually that the wood that you've just been and bought is junk, and the wood that this is made of is, and then it starts opening up, and you're like, well, yeah, I can make a table. Yes, I can spit. You know what I mean? And then you realize, no, it's not just that. There's so much more. And the complexity unfolds. And then you go through a real learning curve before you can come anywhere near making a table that is going to hold your food, you know?
Yeah, there's levels to this shit, right?
Yeah.
To quote someone.
It's not obvious to us at first. Yes, the more you kind of look into it, the more you realize nothing's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like the table analogy. Might use that.
Thank you. Yeah, get that one written down.
Right, two things I want to ask you. Firstly, you said about how much you enjoy being on the radio, performing on radio. You felt like that was your vibe. So, I'm not asking you to necessarily remember a specific, like, first ever gig live moment, but but just generally speaking, how did you find the difference between going from being on the pirate radio, that kind of element of mystery and anonymity, to then stepping out to one of your earlier gigs in the live domain? And it also ties into what we were just saying about the skill sets and all the rest of it. The difference between radio to live MC.
Mm. Well, I can tell you a particular story, actually. It does tie back to radio, so it's perfect little segue. Rude FM did some events in Amsterdam, and my first gig abroad was with them. I thought for years, this is why my memory's not good for going back that far. But fortunately, I'd journaled a little bit about this particular gig. This gig I did with Rude FM in Amsterdam. I did it, and ended up doing a couple, but I think this was the first one. And I recently found this journaling. I thought the gigs that we did with them were like more like 96, 97. But it turns out I'd written a date on this thing. So in 99, I did a gig with Rude in Amsterdam. Rude in a dam. And I journaled a little bit about the experience. What's interesting for me was seeing how, as still performing, I get a different thing out of performing to some of the things I'd written. And but anyway, it just talks about the experience of what you don't get on the radio. Radio, I love the phone line. That's your feedback. And as an MC, you're this connecting point between the person that's playing the music and the people that are hearing the music. And the MC is kind of that midpoint. And radio, the phone line became that connector. So, you're connecting people with the DJ through you. And then what I'd written about MCing in this club was how the feeling of encouraging people in whatever way I was doing it to make noise at certain points, and then people responding. And like the sense of, just like feeling that energy come from people through me and into the DJ, like, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Like it really does feel like you've just plugged yourself into a plug socket. Well, actually not, that probably doesn't feel like that. But you know what I mean? But you feel the energy comes through you. And that's the first time I'd ever experienced it, because before it had just been through a phone, which always felt good as well. You pick the phone up and you're like, someone does a shout, and that feels amazing. But then like it's like that on like times 100 when you do it in a club. And
yeah, man, I love the wave. Yeah, I love that. Do you know the word that came into my head? Conduit.
Yeah.
And it's sick that like even whether you're on radio or whether you're in the club, you are still the conduit. But yeah, obviously with that collective, I don't know what the word is, like the collective energy, like tribalistic energy of like however many people all facing in the same direction, kind of dancing to the same beat of the drum, literally. Also to coin a system bar there.
Yeah, and that was one of the names of our nights.
Oh, yeah, I've got the flyers, mate. I've got the
beat
flyers
the
in my
drum.
loft.
You were a resident at it.
Yeah, do you know I've got 5 or 6 of them all in like a frame because the artwork theme was quite. So there was a theme running through the flyers, and I've got them all in like a frame, so they're one under each other. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? People being in a club, whatever type of music it is, but yeah, that collective energy, and then the MC being the conduit, connecting that, bringing it all together with what the DJ's doing. Yeah, I love the way you break that down. So were you hooked from that point onwards then? Because obviously
Yeah.
from a live perspective, you know, you ended up being all over the place, whether UK, abroad.
Actually, I'd written about it, and I haven't got the note. I haven't got it with me, but and also it's private. It's my own personal journaling.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's nice that I've got an opportunity to share it with you. But yeah, I'd written something like that. I was like, "This is it, man. Like, I'm hooked." Probably partly because, as I said earlier on, I never really saw myself as being a club MC, only radio. But then I was like, no, actually, this is something else I can turn my hand to now. It felt different. It felt totally different. Like, you have to adapt your style, you know? And I didn't think I wanted to adapt my style. I like the style of being a radio MC. And, but yeah, as you say, it went on to do it for quite a long time. I was pretty busy.
How would you describe your style, your MC style?
I enjoyed writing poetry as a kid. So MCing appealed to me because it allowed me to be creative, like, and allowed me to express my creativity more than I felt like I would be able to with DJing at the time. I feel differently now. I can, like, actually, it's one of those things like the table. Now I've realised that how DJing has kind of opened me up into, like, allowed me to be creative in a new way that I never had allowed myself to do before. But so there's an element of the way that my lyrics are or were more kind of poetic than anything. But then rhythm's always important. I'd say my style was kind of more halftime hip hop, more hosting style. You know, it's kind of part of that whole hosting thing, how that kind of started. So my style, okay, lyrically quite poetic, talking about the music, talking about the way the music makes you feel, and style-wise, rhythmically, a nod to hip-hop, particularly more UK hip-hop than US, and complementing music, fitting in, slotting into always like to slot into certain sections. And does that explain me?
Yeah, it totally does. Obviously, as someone that knows your sound very well, then I think that's absolutely hitting the nail on the head. But even for someone who listens to this podcast that maybe until now isn't familiar with MC System, and of course after this episode's finished, they're going to go out and find some of your sets online and enjoy it themselves. But yeah, that gives the perfect flavour. I do think that. Also, like, you know, I don't want to make you blush or anything, but I do think I'm not saying you don't get the credit, but I think you deserve more credit for being at the real epicenter of that hosting style that became kind of pretty prolific as the 2000s rolled out. You know, you and a few others were there doing that hosting MC style really well from very early on. And
yeah, thank you.
Like we touched on, you weren't a one-trick pony, because, like, you could say that style only works over a certain style of music, and, you know, arguably, okay, it probably doesn't work over certain styles of drum and bass. But like we've already said, you would be doing, like, you know, like things like therapy sessions was crazy hardcore music, at times verging on like heavy metal infused gabba drum and bass. It wasn't always like that, but, you know, Renegade Hardware was obviously very techie, and you know, I know from just being a mate of yours that, you know, these are all labels, obviously, but you were very into that whole tech step era, no U-turn. But then with Nookie, like, I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, but yeah, Nookie, the whole Atmosphere series, the Bookham-esque sound. Do you know what I mean? You were doing all of that, and it's not like you were changing your identity at all these different things. You could just adapt your delivery to suit that vibe, which isn't
Yeah.
easy to do, man. It's not easy to do. It's like chameleon style, but done well.
I've always found that my taste leans towards the like deeper jungle drum bass, whatever, hardcore, which I think therapy session still was, even though sometimes it was absolutely mental. Some of the sets I worked on, I was like, what the hell is going on here? You know, like kick drum.
Who was the German guy? Sorry to cut you.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I know what you mean.
Oh, Panacea.
Panacea, like kick
He
drums.
had like the
180
leather
BPM.
trousers and
Wow. And also like it's so loud you can't even hear your voice over it. Like you're just battling. Like those guys would have. It sounded like, it looked like, it felt like my left ear, that everything's just in the red. There's no headroom. There's nothing, you know. So it kind of suited me to be a bit more hosty on those sets because, you know, you've only got the breakdowns where you can actually hear yourself. But actually, yeah, you're right. I adapted, but then so did my people I'm inspired by as well. It actually all feels like one and the same.
Yeah. No, I get it. Know? So I know these kind of questions are quite hard to answer sometimes, but I'll ask you anyway. Who was your go-to guy in terms of the MC that you looked up to and heard and thought, yeah, man, like he's the one for me? Or she?
Well, I talked about the guys on Rude. They were all a big inspiration for me, huge inspiration. And then going forward, just narrowing it down because you know, across the board, there's so many, but Stevie Hyper, like I never saw him as someone that I never wanted to be a Stevie Hyper. Do you know what I mean? It was not like, but I admired like just what an absolute, just I can't even put it into words. Like nothing touched what he was doing, you know. So skilled, so versatile. But that wasn't, you know, that was never that's not me. But the guys that, and they all know it, I've spoken to them all, the guys that are and always will be my inspiration, Conrad, and Cleveland Watkis and Rhyme Time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And do you know what? Sorry, bear with me one sec. I've got a CD sticking out the side of my my iMac. One sec. I don't know if you can. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my headphones here, so forgive me, listeners. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if you can see this. No, you're going to be able to see that.
I can't. Hold on. Oh my God!
Can you see that?
Yeah, I know what that is.
So not only is this a set that we've both enjoyed together, but this is actually the one that you burnt for me and then put in your little CD printer. So for the benefit of the people listening on Spotify and Apple, also available on YouTube, headphones, man. This is DJ Trace, MC Rhyme Time, Cool FM 95.
What a set.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason that I pulled this out of the computer, obviously, is because you just talked about Rhyme Time. What is it about Rhyme Time, man? He just sounded so sick. And talk about unsung hero, right?
Yeah, it was cool. That's what it was. Forgive me for the pun. His style was so cool, so confident, so laid back, just sitting back, just slightly behind the beat, like just made it sound so easy. Just an amazing voice, amazing lyrics, delivery, cadence, like his pronunciation, his echoes. You know, I was inspired by the fact that he would do echoes, and it actually became a signature for me. But it comes from Rhyme Time, 100% comes from Rhyme Time. Like, I don't think I heard anyone else doing it, not like him anyway. And my echoes never sounded as good as his. I heard Cleveland doing it as well, but Rhyme Time, just like people look going that I'm pretty sure I would have got that from the internet somewhere. That set, so people need to go out and hear that, man. If you haven't heard that Trace and Rhyme
I'm going to
Time.
Post it. Yeah, don't worry, peeps. I'm going to post this on the Instagram.
Okay.
It's funny to talk about the echoes because I definitely got that from you. The echoes kind of get passed down from people, right? That echo style. For people that have no idea what the hell we're talking about when we're saying about that, can you just try and verbally describe to people what we mean.
Do you know, it's interesting because there's different ways of doing it. But basically, you know, like more often than not, sometimes with, you know, because drum and bass music kind of flows so much, so flowy, it's such it's got this kind of constant roll. And sometimes I think I've always felt like for, you know, an MC to drop 8, 16, whatever, and you get to the end, and just for it to kind of cut cold might not necessarily fit with the music, because you know the tune will carry on rolling and the bars are finished, and you can feel a drop of energy, particularly in a club. And so a common technique, not common, but a technique that some of us have used over the years is, you know, you get to the end of the 16 and then your final word you just repeat and either say it more and more quietly, or pull the mic away slowly and keep repeating the word, or both.
See, I don't know if this is going to be controversial. Like, you tell me your opinion. I always, I'm really sorry, Pete. Like, my headphone thing's messing about, and it's really annoying me because I can hear Mark, but not as well as I'd like to. But anyway, I always felt it was the bait way to do it. The bait way to do it was to make your voice quieter. No, that was bait. It had to be like authentic echo is pulling the mic away, but keeping your voice at the same volume level, if you like, and tone, and just pulling the mic further away from your mouth. That's the one, right?
Well, someone like Cleveland Watkins, his thing was doing it with his voice, which I admired.
Really?
I'm like, wow, how do you, like, which means, because you can kind of add, if you're doing it with your voice, you can sort of add a high pass filter kind of feel to it as well.
Okay.
So actually,
yeah.
I used to do both at the same time. So kind of changing the tone slightly, but sometimes it depends what the environment is. It gets really technical. You know, like if you're in a noisy club, you might pull the mic away and you're sending it off towards a monitor and there's feedback, you know.
Yeah,
so
true.
Sometimes you might be forced to have to use your voice a little bit more.
Yeah, true.
Someone will hopefully we'll talk about this later on, but someone mentioned no, actually we'll come back to it. I'm gonna park that, and then
Okay.
then I'll revert back to what we're talking about now.
Okay.
So ask me another question.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm happy to stand corrected as well. Like, I'm not always. Maybe I've just heard people do it badly with with their voice getting quieter.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be done. You'll get a better result if you keep your voice at the same volume, keep your tone exactly the same, and move the mic away. I think
you
get a better result of that. But you know, like the advanced stage is then using your voice and messing around with it as well, which I mean, I got from Cleveland Watkins, hearing him do it.
Yeah, man. No, this is sick. This is something I've not really got into with many of my other guests. This is like the mic techers stuff, actual mic techers, literally like using the mic, the techniques around using it as an instrument. No, it's really interesting. The other thing I was going to say about Rhyme Time is that I don't know, to my knowledge anyway, like he was one of the first people to be using like delay unit. He was taking like delay effects units to call and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so maybe that's why his echoes were so good.
I know Moose was all. I mean, Moose, actually,
Moose.
To be fair, like, look, this ain't a bloody competition, but I think Moose is probably the OG of that stuff, isn't he? From like Soundman days,
sound system stuff. Yeah,
I love all that though. Yeah. I love all that. I've got to say, he's going a bit off topic. Massive respect to Moose, because I've seen him at several venues recently where I've been on before or after him, and you know the level of effort and care you've got to go to get there before your set up reverb unit, effects box. I think he takes his own wireless mic, get the sound man, who, if there even is a flipping sound man, to be there, set it all up for all of that. It's a lot to go through, isn't it? And that's dedication to the craft.
You asked me about DJs that have supported me, and then initially, you know, it's important for us to talk about this as well, because it's not just the DJs. What about the MCs that, for me, allowed me to stand with them and kind of mentored me? And Moose is one of them, man. Moose always had time for me. Always talked to me. Yeah. Supportive. Yeah. Big up to Moose, man. Definitely. I mean,
long time veteran.
Yeah. We used to book at our events as well, and I used to have effects units that I'd bring around with me as well. It's all coming back to me. Actually,
It's
I've got it. I've got it here somewhere.
have you?
Yeah, I
I've got
use it
this
for synth
crazy
now.
Boss foot pedal
Mm.
that I've literally I've used it once. Do you know what the problem is? Like, for me, I don't want more stuff to fiddle around with during a set because I'm already distracted enough sometimes as it is. Even having like, I might take 3 mics with me to a gig. Even that, like, you know what it's like. Oh, I can't hear myself properly with this one. I'll try the next. You can spend the whole set just pissing about with your mic. So if I've
Yeah.
got an effects box in front of me, that's me for an hour fiddling around, and that's the opposite of being. I'm only talking about myself here. That's the opposite of being in the flow state that I want to get into to give a really good, engaging performance. So I find that but I love the idea of having all that stuff. I think it sounds sick.
Yeah. I used to quite like using it on the radio, and but in a club it can get a bit fiddly. Particularly the bigger the clubs get, the more you might be emceeing on a stage, and you need a pedal for that. And I always prefer just using this little Alesis unit. It's actually not for
Yeah,
mics
yeah,
at all.
like a guitar pedal or something.
Guitar pedal's what you should use when you're on a stage. But yeah, I didn't have guitar pedal. I had it's like a third U size, just a little. It's actually a reverb machine. It had one delay setting on it. I never used the reverb. I only used the delay, the echo. But it's all right when you're in a small DJ booth or if you're on the radio and you can just you just got it there and you can just tweak it. But
Yeah,
I agree, it does get in the way of the performance of am I listening to the music? Am I listening to the people I'm performing to? Am I listening to their feedback? Am I here? Am I present? Or am I thinking about whether my delay's too loud or like what I'm going to do? It's that whole ego. You can get a bit ego-y with effects units, I think.
yeah. But I'm enjoying this little Mike Tecker section, even if it's selfishly, big up all the Mike geeks and nerds out there. This bit's definitely for you. But yeah, so we're saluting Rhyme Time. We're saluting Moose. I was actually chatting to Flux the other day on the phone. I chat a lot to Flux, become a good friend, and he was basically saying how he's been around since the start, and really in his timeline, his memory anyway. First person he ever heard on the mic, we're going back to that 80s, was Chalky White. And he said the second is Moose, but obviously it could have easily have been Moose was the first. So like Moose has been there, general of this thing since that. I mean, he probably goes before the 80s because they're sound system guys. But yeah, 80s onwards, and you can still go and see Moose like at a Rupture event or a flipping Hospitality or a D&B Classics. Do you know what I mean?
Or Son of Bass.
Yeah,
Or, you know what? You mentioned Flux. He was doing that hosting thing, and the people I've mentioned, they were all doing that hosting thing before us. Like we're just feeding off of them.
Yeah, I suppose the difference is, like, in my kind of mind that likes to dissect things, is that I think maybe that was more of a sound system version of the hosting.
Yeah.
That also, like,
True.
Navi, 5-0 were doing and those guys. And then you, like you said yourself, your people from your school of MCing brought in the hip-hop influence a bit more. But I know, like, there's always a counter-argument to say, really, it was all just one mishmash of everything anyway.
There's never any kind of hard cross points, like Rage. Big inspired me. His style. Actually, Rage is probably. Sick. I probably don't mention him enough when I have these conversations in private with people, but Rage was definitely a big influence on me, man.
Sick. Top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Absolute Don. Okay, yeah, the Mike Teckers thing. I know you have mentioned the late great Conrad. Conrad, another person that was deep in the world of Mike Teckers, right? And I think I've never heard. I know this isn't. Well, he did do it live. Him and Bookham did lots of live stuff, obviously. But the progression sessions recordings, where the attention to detail that Conrad would apply to just the little delays on the end of his bars, where it just, like you said yourself, like the manual way of doing the echo with the mic, but just these lovely floaty delays of the last word of his bar just drifting off into the chords and the pads of the music, and that stuff takes time and commitment to do in the studio. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like we need to give a nod to Conrad as we're talking about.
More than a nod.
Mike Teckers, man.
Because I became friends with him as well. Words of wisdom. Guy just, like, throughout the years, just had a way with his words. Do you know what I mean? He could just just drop something, and I'd be like, wow, you just changed my life. What you've just said has just made me see everything differently. I actually owe so much to him, man. So much to him. But like professionally, let alone just friendship, you know. But like something he told me, and this when I was playing in music, he just gave me advice about my production, and which carries through every time. Every time I'm in the studio making music, I apply this rule, and it's like, don't make them want to listen to it again. You know, I was obviously playing in music and it was just kind of playing hooks over and over, and he's like, you know, you want to make them get to the end and have to listen to it again. So don't give them those hooks too many times. It's just one example. What an incredible, right? What an influence he's had on dance music. You know, like it's ridiculous. Left one hell of a legacy.
Yeah, as an MC, as a vocalist, you can't really call him an MC, as an artist, as a singer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all those boxes were ticked, and I think he produced as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was he made music as well.
He gave me a track to mix once, which I've still got. I don't know if anyone's heard it.
Really?
But it was a track.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd actually spoken to Total Science, and they were busy or whatever, and they were like, send it to Mark, he'll mix it. So he sent this track over, and I mixed it, and I don't think he ever put it out. But yeah, multi-talented. I need to talk to some people about that. I need to speak to Conrad's people about that and be like, look, we've got this one sitting here. People might not even have it.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Big love to Conrad, man. Of course, every time.
Big love.
So, in a minute, let's bring it a bit more up to date. But there is one other thing I just wanted to talk to you about, just because I'm interested. Because again, like, even I know you, like, I don't think we've really talked that much about. I'm just interested in your raving days, just in terms of, like, were you going out to like the jungle raves and stuff in the 90s? Like, what was your entry point into the rave scene? Because I know you were like a Blue Note guy. You were. We talked about the club scene. The club scene's a bit different, isn't it? I'm talking more about the rave scene.
Rave scene. Well, there's also those crossover clubs like Club UN in Tottenham, which my schoolmates were going to before it was Club UN as well. I can't remember what it was called, but they used to do like under 18s dances. But I went to an Innovation Sweat there in '95, I think. That was amazing because the headliners were SS and Hype, and they had Hyper D, GQ down in the main room. But then there's an upstairs room there, and they had, do you know what? They might have even had Doc Scott, and like I know Bookham played there that night. Going way back now, '95. It's quite a long time ago, isn't it? But I think that was one of the first things I ever went to. I remember standing in front of the stacks in Club UN, and like it actually hurt in my chest, and I never experienced anything like it. It was ridiculous, man. The bottom end in that place was just nuts. But then I also, with the guys that I mentioned earlier on, you know, like Evil B and Fokus and Plex and Melody and all these guys that we, you know, ended up going through the radio thing with, went to a few things with them. In particular, World Dance at Lid Airport. And again, I can tell you it was around 95, the one that I remember in particular, because we were queuing up outside. And I hadn't heard Pulp Fiction in a club at that point. It was still on dub. But you stand outside queuing up outside this airplane hangar. Actually, it was the first time I saw a guest list queue as well. I remember I was saying to my mate, how come they're getting in early? Because like Pulp Fiction's playing. This whole hangar's just rattling to that bass line. Desperate to get in, because I'm like, oh man, I hope we're going to hear it again. Obviously, we heard it all night because it was such a massive tune at the time, but it hadn't come out. Lid Airport. That's like, I don't know how many people went to those things, like 15,000 people. First time I'd seen lasers and see a big one of these world dances I went to, because I went to a couple that had like lasers with dice float like and eagles flying across the crowd. Yeah, I was just smoking Silk Cut and eating a Snickers and drinking water, man. It's like, I definitely saw that. Do you know what I mean?
silk cut and a Snickers. Come on.
And they had dancers, they had performers, and I remember one party had we were all raving. This must be 4 a.m, and there were old people, like we're all young, and there's some old people in there, and like bumping into you, and you're trying to be respectful because obvious reasons. And then, then I realised now they're bumping into you on purpose, and they're actually dancers, and they break out, and then everything comes off, and then they're up on stage, and yeah, like because this is a thing, because those raves back then kind of came from, you know, they were what happened after the illegal rave scene, which I missed because I was too young.
Yeah.
So, that was a really great time, and it felt like, to me, the rave scene died out. It became I feel like it just wasn't cool anymore. Raves just became a bit like, you know, the club scene became cool, and that's what everyone wanted to do, go to clubs. So it kind of killed off that rave scene. But I missed all the production that I saw in those early days. Now, I mean, it's overkill. It's ridiculous. You know, it's like the production in some of these big events is just like, what am I here for, man? I'm like, you know, we all know this anyway. But
I love all the nostalgia stuff, and like you say, the production. I didn't go to World Dance, or, you know, I didn't go to my first rave until 1996, which is Milton Keynes Sanctuary. But yeah, the World Dances and stuff were obviously legendary. But yeah, even down to the flyers. The flyers were collector's items in their own right. They were works of art. You'd go to the rave and they'd have like a carefully designed stage set. They've gone to that level of detail to have, like you just said, people coming into the crowd, sort of pretending to be, they're mooching about, and then they become dancers, and just all that stuff. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just magical.
Yeah. It is magical, and it's got to be done tastefully. It's got to be done tastefully, and I think perhaps that's what we're missing now. I mean, I don't think particularly our scene is suffering from it, or our end of the scene is not anyway, because but overproduction. Yeah, that was when it was done nicely anyway. But it's also, I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. I'm nostalgic.
Of course, but everyone's got their golden age, their golden era. And that's just how it is. You remember those times, and for you, they're the best times.
But
Club UN. Sorry, go on.
No, go and ask me about Club UN.
Well, I was just going to say, Club UN, again, I've not been to... I know these places through telepathy or roast tape packs, mainly. But Club UN is one that sounded like it was a bit moody.
Yeah.
How do you remember any... You know, was it one of those raves where you were never quite sure if it was going to kick off? Like, what was the vibe like?
It was. I went up to I think I was with 2 or 3 mates, and I went up to explore that room with the kind of that moving shadow, good looking sound, whatever it was back then. And I went upstairs, and a guy asked me how, and he's like, I got confronted by a guy, and he was just checking, just speeching me out a little bit, and he was like, how many people here? And I remember telling him, oh, it was about 30 of us, man. It's just me and my schoolmates downstairs. So, no, it was edgy, and you had to kind of, we all talk about this as well, that, you know, it's kind of part of that was the beauty of it. I never felt unsafe. But,
I said this to Mountmast.
Just down the road from me.
Yeah. That was your neck of the woods, wasn't it? But I was just going to say, I said this to Mountmast, not in a way where, like, I don't want this to be misconstrued that I like some kind of like violence in clubs. I'm obviously not about that. But what I said to him, and I think you almost touched on it, is that there was something about an edginess in the vibe which kind of made the night a bit more electric.
Yeah.
But not where you wanted to see people getting flipping robbed and beaten up. Obviously, I'm not saying that. Well, did you think this guy was going to try and rob you for your Snickers? Give us your silk cut.
That's the thing. Like, I probably had about £4 in my pocket. You know, I spent all the money I had to get in there. Yeah, God knows. Anyway, it was safe. Anyway, it was fine. Do you know what I mean? It was just wasn't
and North London as well. When I was chatting to AD, he was telling me about Roller Express, which I think was like near Edmonton. Did you ever go to Roller Express?
Yeah, I did. I went to Roller. I went there quite a lot to roller skate. I never went to a rave. Yeah, because it was like, for all of us in the area, Roller Express was like it was a big thing. Like, it wasn't just raves. It was quite an important venue for that part of North London. So I roller skated there. I never made it to one of the raves. I always intended to, but it all kind of, and I, you know, yeah, I heard about that. I know, obviously, friends were going, and I always felt like maybe that was a bit moody. But then it never is as moody as like you think, you know. I should have gone, but I didn't go. But I enjoyed roller skating there, and I always had DJs when you
Yeah.
were roller skating. You know what I mean,
Oh, mate, I used to love roller skating, man. Bang into like roller blades, and do you know the funny thing is, I've got a pair of inline skates in the loft, which I think I've worn once. They're essentially brand new, and when I was about, I don't know, my late 30s, I was in York with Nicole, and we walked past a skate shop, and I was like, oh my god! Like I had an instant hit of nostalgia. I love skating. I went in and spent about 200 quid on skates, pads, helmet, and then went down the park with Dexter. And within about half an hour, managed to fall over while spinning round, smash my knee on the floor. I'd got all the gear other than knee pads for some reason, and my knee's never been quite the same since. So if anyone listening to this wants to buy some inline skates with all the safety gear other than knee pads, hit me up.
that's typical you. This is like me speaking to you as my friend now.
Yeah.
That's just such a Phil Focus story. Do you know what I mean? Committing to something on the spot and like just being right. No, this is it. But actually, I've got to tell you, I was roller skating, but that wasn't my thing.
Okay.
My roots are skateboarding.
Like, oh, of course. Yeah.
I'm a skater all the way. So, sorry, mate. I can't relate to the roller skating thing in that way.
Were you looking down? Were you dissing the people on their quads?
Yeah, I still do. So I'm trying to tell you kindly.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I get it.
I never had rochers or anything like that, man. It was all about skateboarding. But yeah, I was a kid, man. It was always like kind of BMXing, mountain biking, roller skating. Skateboarding is big. Actually, it's a huge part of the person I am. That's UK's British and London particularly skate culture. You know, skating South Bank and yeah, all the London spots as a kid, and that was edgy as well. You go and skate South Bank, and you didn't know if you're going to come back with your board. But I always did, and you just like, you know, you might just keep away from certain people or certain, you know, you just kind of. Actually, it's important. It's important. You. Like growing up around that, this kind of formed. It's influenced me so much, you know. That edginess.
What kind of music were you and the skate crew listening to? Was it still like? I suppose it depends what era it was, doesn't it? But yeah, what were you listening to?
Well, for me, hardcore and jungle, you know. But I wasn't.
Okay, so it's like early 90s.
All through the 90s into the early 2000s, I was still skating, and I think I must started around the time I discovered like. Dance music as well, you know, late 80s, but particularly I skated all the way through the 90s. I was never particularly good at it really, but I loved it. Skated, you know, every day. But there was there's a place in Waltham Cross that I used to go to occasionally. I think it was only open. It was like one day a week. It was a youth club called the Boys Club. And they put ramps out, and sometimes they'd have a DJ in there, and he would play US hip hop, and that was like between 1990 and 93. So that was quite an inspiration for me, actually. Probably, yeah, it's hard. My memory's blurred, but I think might have been the first time I ever really saw someone DJing like that. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So hip hop has always been like a big part of UK skate. Actually, probably really that's. My introduction to hip hop, whether it's UK or US, is through skateboarding. Hear it on skate videos, American skate videos, and then loving it.
Throw some names out. Excuse me. Throw some names out. You know, who are your go-tos when it comes to hip hop or, you know, rappers that you like?
And you're just gonna make me freeze now, because, you know what? I think you know what the tough thing is. You get to a certain age, and my influences and my taste has changed and developed over the years. And there's people that have come and gone, and like I love them, and then I feel like they've fallen off, or my taste has changed, or whatever. So it's different people at different times, and so my brain just goes for quick answers, but it might not necessarily be the people that have been most I've loved the most. But like Common, I remember getting into Common at one point because, and I never really fully appreciated Common. But Mos Def was supposed to be playing at an event in Finsbury Park called Love Music, Hate Racism, and I was really looking forward to seeing Mos Def there. And last minute he cancelled, and they put Common in instead. And I was like, really wanted to see Mos Def, and Common blew my mind. Like, he's not like just all his music, which I kind of knew. But were you there? Did you come to that?
Nah.
But his performance, he's breakdancing on the stage. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this guy's, you know what I mean? He could just be a breakdancer and he'd be owning the whole thing. But his presence, his kind of, the way that he worked with us as an audience, and man, like, so Common for me from that point. I was like, why have I really not checked for him as much as I should? And at the time I was emceeing a lot, so I was kind of, yeah, just like saluting the guy, you know. There used to be jungle and drum bass shows on Kiss FM in London in the 90s, and Frost would do one and Bookham, and I can't remember who else. But before their show was Max and Dave's hip hop show, so you know, be there listening to like the tail end of Max and Dave's show before the jungle or drum bass comes on, and that's where I heard Feel Life Cypher. And some other people. They would bring people in that were appeared to me to be really underground, not even that famous within the small UK hip hop scene. So I've got them on tape, and I can't remember who they are, but they were sick. You know, people from like wherever, all across the UK.
Yeah,
and Max and Dave were giving them air.
Max and Dave, I've not heard of them before.
Wow, yeah.
Sounds a bit like Chaz and Dave.
Well, I hope I got the name right, because it does
sure
sound
it wasn't
Chaz
and
Dave. Oh, maybe that's it. It was the Chaz and Dave show on Kiss FM, playing underground raw UK hip hop.
Underground legends, come on. Yeah, I think when it comes to the UK thing, we're of a similar sort of vintage and taste, really. You know, Skinny Man, we used to bump Skinny Man all the time.
That
bit of Task Force, Chester P. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Kalashnikov.
Classic, innit?
All of that. But then London Posse and stuff like that. But the early UK hip hop scene, I didn't know much about it, but loved it, and I still love the style. I really love what Loxy Ink did with their thing on RNS a couple of years ago, and because it was such a nod to that early UK hip hop sound and flow and like the energy of it. And I need to watch that again actually after we finish talking. I need to every now and then I just get on and just listen to that, get me a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of unexpected when they came with that. For obvious reasons, but also like the fact that it was on RNS, which is like historically very well known for sort of techno and that Belgian sound back in the day.
No,
it's the whole project. I was just like, is it? RNS, is it?
I don't know enough of the history, but I don't know how much hip hop's been on there. You know, like Wax Doctor. Doctor's got an album on there with like some of it's kind of Wax Doctor's greatest hits. I don't know if it's like originals all on there, but it's a sick album. It's every tune's a killer. So and it's like they've released all sorts of things. So it wasn't that much of a surprise, but I'm so glad they did it. The video's amazing. Everything. I love how they're so talented, those guys, man.
Right, let's bring it back to you and kind of come a little bit more up to date. So we've talked a lot about your influences, how active you were and influential really in the London drum and bass scene and further afield. There obviously came a point where I don't know, would it be dramatic to say that you put the mic down and moved into music production? How would you describe it? You stopped emceeing.
Yeah, it is dramatic to say I put the mic down.
How would you describe it?
It was like everything in life. It was more of a slow transition, and it. You know, I've written music as long as I've emceed, but wasn't known for the music I've written. So my first release wasn't until 2005, and I was writing my own music. I was writing acid house, trying to recreate what I was hearing on the radio in the 80s.
Really?
It's not releasable music. I was a kid. Like it's writing music has always been a huge part of me, and rapping or MCing was just an extension of that. But but then the MCing kind of took the the forefront for a long time. And people started supporting my music, and I was MCing with guys that were playing my music. It's just started. I talked about this to people in private, but I also don't mind saying it publicly. I got to a point where I was like, what I always promised myself was like, if I'm not in this, I'm going to stop. And I think I was always worried that if I'm starting to not enjoy the music I'm working on, then that's just going to translate in my performance. It has to be authentic. It's got to be authentic and genuine, like when you're MCing, because otherwise you'll be in that situation where you're asking a crowd, you're asking for crowd response, and they're not going to say anything back, and that's just cringy for everyone. So I got to a point where I wasn't enjoying the music enough and I wasn't writing lyrics and just falling out of love with it, basically. So it's time to. And I guess I found a new love. Man. My music was starting to come through. So there was a transition of a few years where I was being booked to MC, and I'd say to promoters, but I want to DJ as well. So because I wanted to play my music. I've got all this music. I'm like, I'm not sending it to anyone, but I at least want to get on the decks and play it, which is what I still do. You know, I play mostly my own music, and most of it's never going to come out. So I started doing this thing where I'd MC and then I'd get on the decks. But that's really interesting because there's there's quite a few MCs that are doing this kind of transition into DJing and doing both. But what I had what I found was, and I don't know if you found this, I found that it actually again puts an audience in an awkward position, because I've seen you up there rapping, talking to them, and all of a sudden, like some point in like there you are with the headphones on, hidden behind the decks, being all introverted and like concentrating on what you're doing, and the two don't fit. So I did have this transition. It helped establish me as helped the world of drum and bass trust me as a DJ. But it was a weird place for me to be, where I was like kind of maybe a bit of imposter syndrome as well, you know, like who do I think I am? Like I've just MC'd and now I'm DJing as well. But it wasn't putting a mic down. It was unplugging it.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, fair. I mean, look, we could do you would need and deserve a complete entire podcast dedicated to your music production, and I don't want to try and shoehorn it in, but I don't want to do. I'd like to touch on it briefly.
Yeah, sure.
At the same time, because you know it's very interesting. One thing I was going to say earlier, but I kind of didn't. I thought I'd just wait till we touch on it here. Is I think Mark System as a producer has an air of mysticism about him, which I don't know if it's deliberate or maybe you don't even see it. But you know, I think what I mean by that is. And it almost goes back to what you were saying about being like the anonymity of being on Pirate. But Mark System, you don't put out a huge amount of music, but when you do, it causes a buzz and a stir amongst people. And you don't do fillers.
Mm.
You do, a long time might go by. I mean, you tell me, it could be a year, I don't know, whatever, a long time. And then you'll have something drop on Metalheads. Or something very prestigious, and people are like, "Oh, there's or you might have a tune floating about on dub for a long, long time that only the select people have got. Do you know what I mean? And there's a bit of a mysticism and a buzz around it. Do you feel that? Do you relate to what I'm saying there? Do you think I'm
completely
right?
No, you're right. You're right. It is that anonymity that I love, and I'm quite happy to continue to be that. That mysticism is always appealed to me. So it's always that is something I was like I wanted to be, and I love the fact that people still respond to that, and I still do, man. Like, I love the fact that like, what's going on with Burial? Like, come on, I love it. I love it. Like I need, but then I look at someone like Caliber, like I mean. The amount that he puts out, and I still don't feel like it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
So there is a need for it. There's a space for it all. But for me, yeah, I've got an EP coming out on Sun and Bass at the before the year's out, and they've kept the catalogue number for me. Shout out to Stefano at Sun and Bass. He just showed me this. Actually, he was like, "Look, I've kept the catalogue number. It's number 14. I think they're in the high 20s now." They've been talking about me doing this release for over 10 years. So sometimes it takes a long time for my music to come out. But that's
10 years?
Yeah, no, over 10 years.
Wow,
Over 10
really?
years. And yeah,
That's mad.
someone said to me that doesn't mean the music's all 10 years old. One of them might be, because someone said, "Oh, I've got a date on one of these tracks." They said 2020. But I've gone back in on them, and they're refined, and they're a journey. Actually, it's not that music's not it's not just putting out old music. It's because it's like there's 5 tracks, and they're all kind of come from different places, but they've all been reworked on and all kind of developed. And like, it just take a long time to paint my pictures, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's a nice way to phrase it. You know, you've got your palette and your easel out.
Yeah.
And you're taking your time. Like,
and it just sits there in the studio. It's just sitting there on the easel, and I come back in 6 months and I just add a little extra brush stroke here and there, and that's how.
Mark's system has never been in a rush.
No, I'm known for that.
I rate that.
Definitely.
I respect that. I rate that. So what kind of flavours are on the Sun and Bass EP then? If you had to like just give people a bit of a sneak preview of what they can expect from it, what kind of vibes have we got on there?
It doesn't cover everything. It's 5 tracks, but one track, Point of Reference, is kind of definitely house influenced arrangement wise, and it's kind of got this. I suppose it leans into Detroit. It's got Detroit influence to it, house wise, techno. Then you've got another track is it kind of sounds it's called Started at the End, and it's got that swerve, early proto-liquid kind of sound, and there's Where's the Dog, which is just naughty. There's a story.
Where's the Dog? That's come on, you need to break that down a bit. Where's the Dog?
It was actually a London experience with no, I'm not going to tell the story, Phil. Sorry. No, I'm not doing it. I'll come back to that one another time. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. So Where's the Dog?
I told you, people, he's a man of mystery, this guy.
What are the other tracks? Oh, and On an Island, which is like this kind of more kind of up to date kind of club feel track. Everyone's got to listen to it. It's incredibly difficult describing my own music.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if other people have like.
Well, I just think as well, like, even though obviously I'm sitting here asking you these questions, and I still think they're important questions to ask, but equally it's almost like, I don't know, I've read some books recently, like Energy Flash, I think it's Simon Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
But, music journalism, to a degree, it's pretty boring reading someone talking all arty-farty about trying to describe the language, that using all this really intricate language to describe music, which essentially music is a feeling, it's a vibration. So I just think it is actually quite hard to effectively talk about music, which is designed to be felt, But he's done a good job anyway. One thing I was just wondering actually is how much of the flavour and the vibe of the music, the EP that you're doing, is influenced by actually being at Sun and Bass. So for people that aren't familiar with it, Sun and Bass is a bit of a drum and bass sort of mecca for people each September time on the island of Sardinia, and a lot of the drum and bass scene is effectively go out there, and artists are there sort of raving alongside the ravers. There's not like a sort of backstage VIP cut-off, is there? Everyone's kind of mingling and getting involved together. But yeah, how much of this is influenced by, if at all, is influenced by being at Sun and Bass?
Well, On an Island in particular, this track was written for Sun and Bass. It's named On an Island because of their events in Sardinia. And I very much like wrote that and imagined playing it to people indoors at Amber Night. So there's 100% written for it. But I've been working with those guys for so long now. Everything I do, like I'm not the only one, but I'm sure. But I'm writing music all year long and imagining playing it at Sun and Bass. So it's like it's a hugely important thing for me creatively. And also it's
Wow, that
when I get to see everyone. So it's like you're playing alongside your peers, and you're like, I want to write music for them. I want them to hear what I'm doing. It's all, it's massive.
is that added pressure. That feels like, to me anyway, but maybe not to you, but it feels like there's an element of added expectation to it, because you're sort of waiting for that single moment and an actual specific location, surrounded by your peers, to play the music. Does that change the creative process at all, or your mindset around it?
Depends where I'm at in my life. Like I generally I don't play my DJ sets, and so I write music for my sets, and I kind of hope that I've written enough that I don't have to plan my set, because I know the music so well. It just kind of, I can just pull out whatever I need at a certain time. So no, doesn't add pressure for me. Doesn't add pressure. I actually, I've been performing since I was a kid. Played in school bands and that kind of stuff, like from right from the very beginning. So I was been comfortable with getting up on the stage because I grew up that way. So I don't tend to get that nervous. I think actually, and also I've got coping mechanisms, I know what to do. And I think if I over plan, then I'll probably get nervous, because at that point it's like I'm locked into something. But if I can just freestyle and it comes with the MCing as well. You're never planning. You don't know what a DJ's going to play, do you? So you never know. I'm comfortable with not planning.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I feel that. I think over preparation can be a hindrance for sure. Something happened at Sun and Bass, because Sun and Bass was only, it depends obviously when you're listening to this, but we're recording this, it's the 1st of October. Sun and Bass happened a couple of weeks back, and you hit me up. Were you still in Sardinia when you sent me that voice note, or had you just got back? Can you remember?
Yeah.
I think it was still out there.
I wasn't just in Sardinia, I just got off the mic.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, I say that I got the shuttle back to my apartment, but like, you're the first.
Wow. I feel pretty privileged.
Waiting for a private moment where I could just leave you a nice little voice note.
I'm never going to delete that voice note. It's indelible now. It's going to stay on my phone forever.
Maybe I should have another listen to it. It's important. It's quite important.
Okay, so look, break it down for people, because this is super interesting for me, and really this was whilst we've been talking about you coming on the podcast pretty much since I started the podcast, this was a real catalyst moment for you, and it got us talking about, right, let's lock a date down. So tell the listeners what happened in Sardinia and what led to you sending me that voice note.
Right. Well, Kid Drama has got an alias called Ocean Dawn, and that alias is basically that 160 BPM, for want of a better word, like intelligent, like 95 to 99 kind of deep sound, moving shadow, whatever, good looking. So he's got this project and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I love that music. I love that era. And he knows that he's asked me to MC on these Ocean Dawn sets for a few years at Sun and Bass, and I haven't been in the right headspace for it. Until a couple of years ago, I was hiking with my girlfriend Natalie. Shout out to Natalie, and she's kind of brought the MCing back out in me a little bit. Just like she's got such a broad taste in music and knows her hip hop and knows her jungle, and she's like West Country girl, and so we were hiking, and we've kind of freestyle with each other a little bit, just messing around, just in the kitchen, that kind of stuff. But I was doing this hike and I was like, actually, for the first time in years, I feel like I might plug the mic back in, but just once. I actually contacted Ben Insiders because he'd been asking me to MC at one of their birthday events for a long time. He's been asking me to come back, so I hit him up and I was like, Ben, I'm going to do just one event. It might still happen, but we couldn't get the dates right. So that passed. But that was the first time that I actually, for years, had felt like something in me, and I'm sure it's like Natalie's influence had brought that back. Um, and I've kind of forgot about it. And then Kid Drama this year at Sun and Bass, we were all having a steak and a few glasses of wine. I think that helped. And we were at dinner, and I was like, you know what? Actually, you still up for me emceeing for you, because maybe I'll MC in your set this year. He was like, yeah, definitely. He said yes, and then it was kind of locked in. I didn't regret it once. I thought I'd actually expected, I was like, at some point I might regret saying this, but it just excited me. I was just in, and I felt it actually felt so nice to actually really want to do it. Having, as I said earlier on, having fallen out of love a little bit with the craft and the art of MCing. That's painful, man. Falling out of love is like, it's not nice. And I never thought I ever would. So that kind of finding that something, able to reconnect with that feeling of actually wanting to MC again was really, really lovely. And also having someone that was just immediately like trusted me, knowing that I hadn't MC'd for like, I don't know how long it had been, at least 10 years, you know what I mean? Could be longer, 15, I don't know. So anyway, the day comes, and it was also the day that I was due to DJ as well, and I hadn't really put that together in my head. I was like, wow, I've got to do these two separate gigs, and just bearing in mind what I just talked about with me going through this period, the transition period of me MCing and DJing at the same club at the same events, was quite a weird feeling. But these were different clubs, fortunately, and different music, and we didn't announce it. I sent Stefano a message saying I'm going to do it, and he was like, yes, straight away. Oh, no, I saw him on the beach. I was like, so Stefano, I've come up this side. And before I'd even finished, he just said yes. Like, he just cut me off. He was like, I don't need to hear all the story. Yes, he's busy. So anyway, went down there, went to the venues, a new venue they haven't used before called La Luna. And they set the whole thing up, and I loved it. Actually, Natalie said to me that I smiled through the whole set. She said, you're not supposed to, you're supposed to look a bit moody when you're MCing, but she was joking. But I was loving it so much, I just smiled the whole way through. It was just incredible. And it still felt like really spontaneous. It all felt like, it hadn't been planned, which again suits me. It takes the nerves out of it as well, But anyway, we finished, had to get back because I had to prepare my set for that night. I say prepare, I mean literally put stuff onto my memory stick, because I hadn't got it all into a folder. That's how little I prepare. So I got back, and then, but soon, I think even before I put the keys in the apartment door, I'd been waiting, because we'd gotten this shuttle and the various other people with us, and so I got back, and the first thing I did was leave you a voice note. I was like, Phil, you know what? I've got something to talk to you about now, because I know it's an MC podcast, and I'm not an MC anymore, So I left you a voice note saying, I've got something to talk to you about now, that whole experience, which you've now done. So that's out of the way. We can cut it all off.
But mate, it put a massive smile on my face, because I'd literally was getting the train home from London, just finished a gig myself, and I was like, oh, hello. Voice note from Mark. What's this all about then? And then you said in that message what you just said, that your partner fed back to you, was that you had a big smile on your face throughout the whole set. And that's what it's all about, right? It's that internal thing. It's what's going on for you on the inside during the set, which is the most important bit. So I was like, yeah, wicked, man. Like that. That's great to hear. But also, taking it away from the internal stuff, there was a lot of love. People saw some video clips online on socials and whatever. But yeah, a lot of people were like, yeah, man. Like, this is a special thing. Like, System was on the mic.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great to see.
Before I went on, some guys like, I heard you're going to MC. Is that right? You know what I mean? Like, that's the same thing I was talking about earlier on. I was like, yeah. And actually, I won't mention any names. There was one of my peers was like, what? Had said to someone else, another one of my peers, what's he think he's doing? And then they said, he was MC System, and the guy had knew me. He was like, oh my God, that was MC. And like, it's all kind of coming together. But it is.
Well, you just imagine. Go on.
It is. It doesn't kind of work in our scene culturally. Like it is unfamiliar, but it's not just me that's done it. Rhyme Time producer, DJing, and SP, and Conrad, and like, it's not unusual, but it is still a bit kind of, I think you can tell from the way I'm delivering it, it's a bit jarring. But yeah, also it was good for me looking out into the crowd, and there was a couple of my peers that come to see me, and that really fed me. Like Black Eye, who, you know, you go back to old venues, used to MC with him at places like Telegraph and in Brixton, and can't remember where else, but anyway, we did, you know what I mean? Part of my earlier MC days, and then looking out and seeing him was really comforting. Just like that support, man. And Robert Manos, looking at him, and there's a little freestyle I did, and afterwards he's like, you know what, you did. I'm not going to do an impression of him. It's not fair. But he's like, you did this thing, and he was like, I'm quite inspired by that. So yeah, I got a lot of support from. I felt that love. Felt that love,
man.
Which you know, like really could have been nerve-wracking without that. Could have been that, like, is anyone going to really appreciate this? But they did, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. Do you know what I mean? You loved it. You were smiling. Boom. Job done.
Yeah, it's all you ask for. Isn't it?
Yeah, is the MC is picking up the mic? Is that now out of your system, pun intended, or are we going to see other little splashes of MC system here and there?
Well, I'd say the mic is. This what I'm about to say sounds so pre-planned, but I've just thought of it. I'm like, I've got a little one for you here. Like, listen, the mic's plugged in, but I got it on mute. Yeah. I think that, and it's that you know, as a metaphor that kind of sums it up. It's muted at the moment, but all we've got to do is release that mute button. I think I'd like to do it again.
Kid,
I enjoyed it, but it's not going to be part of. Not at this point. It's not going to be part of what I start doing. But I loved it so much. The only thing is, it's actually hard for me to remember my lyrics. So, you know, I'm kind of sitting back on the music. I think I remember two things, and I did like one sort of freestyle, which just sort of helped me fill in an hour. One hell of a lot of echoes. That's the other thing about the echoes, that they take up a bit of space, so you don't have to remember your lyrics if you just. So yeah, maybe there'll be more. Depends. It depends if I still feel the same way about it, because that authenticity is important. I couldn't have done that 2 years ago. I just wouldn't have had the capacity to do it, let alone the self-belief, and the skills. And I just got up there and I was like, I know what I'm doing.
What I really love, and what I'd like some listeners, where it's relevant, to take from this, is that these things never leave you. Do you know what I mean? Things that used to excite you, things that you were very passionate about, just because they've laid dormant for, I mean, like you said yourself, maybe 10 or 15 years, it's still there. That's still who you are. You can still reconnect with it, and you can still make you smile instantly. So that's what I take away from this, and that's what I'd like some other listeners to maybe take away from this, because I think a lot of people sometimes forget what they used to do for excitement and enjoyment, and yeah, you can pick it up again whenever you want. Do you know what I mean? Whatever that thing might be for them. So yeah, man, it's inspiring. It's sick. So I'm feeling, maybe, who knows, man, maybe Intrigue reunion, System Focus, back to back. I can remember your bars. Like, I'm not going to do.
What are you doing for me then?
No, I'm not going to cringe it out and start doing your bars, but I can remember them. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. But do I want to remember them? This is what I'm saying, Phil.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's it.
I need to feel. I need to feel it. I need to want to remember them.
Yeah, it's got, like you said, it's got to be authentic. It's got to be real. It's not some sort of pastiche type thing. Like, just I don't want to be the sake of it.
That rock band, that comeback tour. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to. I'm still doing. I'm doing stuff. I'm busy enough already. I'm busy enough. Like, I mean, what's the right word? My soul is busy already. I'm making music, and I'm not going to stop that. So that takes up a lot of my creative drive, and I'm more driven to do that. But it's only on mute, man. It's just got to click that button. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, I'm not ruling it out. Yeah, we need to talk to Ben.
Yeah, we do, man. That'd be sick. What's the weapon of choice? The SM58 Beta.
You talking about? Come on, man. Look. You talked about the risk of sounding really big-headed here, but I worked. Actually, I'll tell you a story about the Beta 58. I worked in this music shop in the West End, as I said, and there was some really highly skilled. A lot of staff there had studied and like they really knew their stuff. Like when it came to like production, there's one guy who was like a rock and metal guy, technically just a genius, and as far as I could tell, he was an amazing mix engineer. But he told me about the Beta 58, and it not like to say, don't mess about with the SM58, man. Use a Beta 58. So he's like, trust me, buy one. And of course I was working in the shop, so I could get them at like cost price. And oh my God, I plugged that thing in, and immediately you've got like your voice projection is just so much more powerful. The top end so much more clear, so much more definition. So yeah, Beta 58. And then I think, because at the time I was, finding myself in the same lineups as SP, and then he heard it and he's like, what's like, and then he picked one up. I think you must have picked up on him, and you still see him floating around now. I've never, like, SM58 disappoints me, man. I'm like, well, how the hell is this the industry standard? When there's just that next one that's just a little step up, and it's so much better. Yeah, Beta 58.
I don't want to say too much because I've actually done a full nerd out geek episode, which I haven't put out yet, just about microphone. So I'm really resisting to give any comment. But all I'm going to say actually is that it's not my favourite mic.
No, I know it's not yours.
I don't really like. I hardly ever use it.
There are better mics out there, and I never liked the cordless one. I always liked the wired Beta 58. It must be the same. I don't know, but yeah, there's obviously better mics. It just became my weapon of choice. I got to shout my dad. It's the latest Beta 58 I got. My dad gave to me. He's found. He'd seen an advert on, he'd found an eBay listing for a Beta 58, and he bought it for me. And he went and picked this mic up, and it's a Coldplay. It's from a Coldplay tour. It's like it's labelled Coldplay on it in like I don't know what it is, but it's anyway. It was Coldplay's, one of Coldplay's Beta 58s, and I haven't used it yet. But maybe I need to get that out and take that out on the circuit at some point. That should be the one that I use. Yeah.
That's sick, man. Yeah, big up your dad for that. That's quality, man. That's quality. And like you said earlier in the conversation, he was a mic man himself. I never knew that about your dad. I didn't know that I knew he was involved in bands and stuff. I didn't know that he was a singer.
Yeah, singer, trumpeter, keys player, drummer, really good drummer.
Wow. Yeah. Flipping on.
Much like
the whole 360.
The talent got watered down by the time it got to me. Like, what a singer, like what a voice, like good lyricism. He was kind of, the original music he made was prog rock, but yeah, really, really, really talented, man. And one of my regrets for him was I wish he'd followed his music career, man. I mean, I went, how long we got here? I'm just going to tell you a brief story about it. I went, I played trumpet, and I don't know how personal this is, so I don't want to go into it, actually. Sorry, yeah. Let me work out how I'm going to put this. I played trumpet at a funeral for someone, and I hadn't played for a long time. My dad hadn't played trumpet for even longer than me. He practiced with me. We both played together. He was like, maybe it helps I play along with you. And I went to see him, and I was like, Jesus, he still can play. Like, the guy can play. I can't. I've kind of lost a lot. I've been playing the trumpet a little bit recently, but yeah, he's just able to pick this instrument up and really make it sing. Yeah, very talented, very talented. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And again, it just goes to show, like we just said, innit? Like these things are always in you, however dormant they may lay from time to time. Like it's still there.
But that relates to your roller skating thing, doesn't it? I know you believe that. I know.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah.
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 It is. It's the same. It's the same. Like,
I think for me, it relates more to DJing. Like, I started as a DJ, and I loved DJing. And then at some point, I just became an MC. And I literally, it sounds so simple, but for about 20 years, I forgot that I loved DJing. And then I was like, oh, I love DJing. I've got Technics 1210s literally in my house the whole time. Never used them. Started mixing records, and then I thought, I love mixing vinyl, but it'd be a lot easier and give me, it's just time to get on the Pioneer stuff, right? So Danny, shout to XS, gave me a crash course, and then obviously coming that way into it from vinyl into mixing on a Pioneer. I mean, it's not particularly hard, is it? Once you get my ears work. It's
Give
just
it all
knowing what
away.
buttons to press.
Don't give it all away.
You just got to
Phil.
know what buttons to press, people. That's what it comes down to. I think the hardest thing is like getting your record box sorted out.
Yeah, it is.
It
is, yeah.
It's fun, but it's really good fun. It's really good fun.
And I struggle with the organisation. Yeah.
But yeah. And giving you, I think maybe the biggest struggle you've got is giving yourself enough time to burn stuff onto a USB before the set.
Get started. Shout out to Luke Sifter, our mutual friend Luke Sifter. He often jokes about when I was going out to, when I wanted to give music to people, and he'd come round and we'd be on our way somewhere to the end or wherever, and I'd be like, I've just got to quickly do a mix down. And he'd sit there and I'd be like, no, it'd take me 5 minutes. And I'd be mixing still 2 hours later, and I'm still like, just maybe this hat needs to be a bit higher. So yeah, no, I'm always, I'm not very good with my concept of time. It's terrible, which adds to my mysticism, but actually the reality is I'm just long.
It's an endearing feature, mate. It's an endearing feature.
Thanks, Bill.
So look, we could talk for hours. We have talked for hours. We could continue talking. Let's kind of bring this to a conclusion for now. So look, this whole conversation is, as it is with each guest, is freestyle. It's off the cuff. But there is one question I do always ask each guest, and I've got the feeling this is going to possibly annoy you, maybe, but I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask it. Ultimate MC Cypher. Okay, you pick 5 MCs, dead or alive, past, present, any genre, any style, but you're putting 5 people into a cypher, and then you're sitting back and enjoying hearing these MCs do their thing. Who are your 5?
Do I have to do this? You're right. It's like
you do have to do it, yeah.
All right, OC, Common, Skinny Man. I'm gonna have to bring back OC, Common, Skinny Man. Right, let me just pause this. Wait, because I want to be punchy. You were right. It's going to annoy me. I'm no good at this stuff, man. Because
it doesn't matter. Whatever comes out, comes out.
All right, OC, Common, Comrade, Stevie IPD, and you.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You said whatever comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, well, look. Okay. Big up. I mean, it's a pretty heavy cast there that I'll be sparring
You'll be
with.
all right.
But yeah,
no,
sick.
You'll be all right. They're all nice guys. They'll look after you.
Brother, it's been wicked chatting to you. I've really, really enjoyed this. We've covered a lot. There's obviously you're a multifaceted man. There's a lot more we could talk about. The music production stuff particularly. But yeah, I think we've got a real nice flavour there of MC system, which is what I wanted.
Thank you for giving me the space to talk about it. And we're not and shout again to Kid Drama for he's such an important part of the reason I'm now sitting here talking to you. If he could have just said, no, I'm not really interested in having you on the mic on my set, but he's up for it. And that's just kind of got us to where we are. And the pause button's on, the mute's on. Let's see where it goes. But I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, big up, man. No, it's been my pleasure. So people, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple and vice versa. If you want to send me, if you're a listener and you want to send me your ultimate MC cypher, then you can hit me up. You can go old school style and do hello@mikemindedpeople.com, or you can just follow and send me a DM on Instagram @mikemindedpeople. Where can people find you, Mark?
Where can you find me? Instagram, Mark System UK, SoundCloud, Mark System, search engine, Mark System, Mark System, Mark System, Mark System. Maybe sometimes UK at the end, but mostly on Instagram. I'm quite communicative on Instagram. I do most of my interaction and most of my publicity and real life stuff is all Insta. Sometimes stuff ends up on my SoundCloud. But yeah, it's Instagram these days, isn't it, really? Facebook, give into it sometimes, but I have to remember my password, one of them. Yeah, Mark System UK on Instagram.
That's cool, man. Yeah, like you said, mate, I mean, it's not hard to search someone up. If people want to find you, they find you, like. But yeah, I'll put all that stuff in the show notes anyway. If people, do you actually read show notes? Does anyone actually read all the stuff that takes ages to compile and copy and paste in all the links and stuff? I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't think I ever read the notes or any of the stuff. Do you?
Yeah, it's important for them to. I listen to a lot of podcasts as well, and I think it's nerding out about podcasts now. It's important to have the show notes because sometimes I look at them. I don't personally look at them out of habit, but sometimes what's annoying is when someone says it'll be I'll put it in the show notes and it's not in there. But it's a good reference point, and I think it's just a necessary evil. I know there must be an absolute pain for you to compile, but it's they've got to be there because it just links you in. It's that conduit.
If there's one thing that I'm more than happy for AI to do on my behalf, it is tasks such as compiling show notes. So yeah, shout to the robots. Right, bruv, let's wrap it up there. I look forward to going back to back with you, or at the very least seeing you in a dance at some point, whether that's on decks or on mic, because either would be a pleasure. So yeah, big up for coming on, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me, Phil.